actually seeing Gloria face to face. We've actually worked, remotely, collaborated on this project, but yeah, this is the first time I'm actually seeing her. So nice to see you too, Gloria. Yeah.
Me too. I'm not a face kind of person, introverts. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm way beyond my comfort zone here today. And I, yeah. Uh, okay, so we can just dive in immediately. So today we are diving into the sensitive topic of salaries. So we are presenting a survey, and the goal of the survey was to see how much designers from all different levels of experience and bring transparency to what the market rates are. And I really hope that this data that we're about to present to you today brings so much light and confidence while you're negotiating for pay during those interviews. Okay, so let's get started. Let me just present my screen. So I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let's get started. The first question is, how did we get here? So, okay, a little bit of a backstory. This is our second survey. The first one was facilitated by me, and it started with a very simple poll on the group, just trying to see whether people would really like to participate in the survey. Initially, it was just me, and after getting positive reviews on, like, yeah, we'd like to have this survey online for us to take part, I went ahead and created this survey, came up with a very, I don't know, I came up with questions that I was confident enough that they're going to bring light into, our current salary situation. But oops, it kind of really flopped. And you can imagine just how frustrated I was, because out of I don't know 600 and something plus people in the group, I only got 11 responses. I was so frustrated, and this brought up like a really involving conversation and very insightful conversation in the group as to why um, the survey could have flopped or why it didn't succeed. And we really got very good. We really got into a very good conversation with almost most people, and it really helped like see why that didn't work out. And thanks to the discussion that we were having during that day on the group, I met Wanjagi, who has really been a very good person to collaborate with, get insights with, and also design the posters, which were really, really good. So during the discussion, I got like a couple of pointers out that first, it was like an oversight probably. Not everyone in the group is a designer. And based on the previous survey, which was mainly restricted to people who are designers, the other note that I took from the conversation was not everyone is employed. Again, our previous survey was just restricted to people who are employed without considering we have freelancers, we have contractors who don't like normally get end month salary. So the survey, in short, the survey was pretty narrow. The other major point that I think the previous survey really flopped was because people did not see the link. I share the link maybe once or twice, and considering how much activities happen in the group, there was a very high probability that obviously people were going to miss the link, which didn't occur to me until someone brought it up in the group. The other thing is, like I mentioned, salary is a very sensitive matter. So there's that bit of being trusted as to why, as someone who is filling in the survey, why am I submitting my information? Can I trust you? And the general benefit and importance of the survey for people to get for us to get buy-in from, the community. So based on that, we realized we've got a problem. And the problem was mainly to get, it was very hard to get buy-in from the members of the community. And we came up with a couple of reasons why that could be the case. So I mentioned trust. So again, salary is a very sensitive matter. For you to get people to actually be open about it, there has to be a give and take about the whole situation. There's also the situation of where people didn't see the link and they just missed it, not because they didn't want to fill in the survey, but simply because they didn't see it. The other thing was, what are the benefits of participating in the survey? So that wasn't clear in the previous survey. Based on that, we came up with how might we. So how might we increase the compensation survey buy-in from members of the community? So based on this solely, we came up with hypotheses, a couple of them, which included if we could expand the survey to capture, insights from different groups of people. This could be freelancers, consultants, and also including our previous set of people or our users that were previously targeting who are, fully employed. So we wanted to broaden the topic and of the survey so that we can have everyone participate and just feel like they're really involved. So the other reason people didn't participate completely was because, well, they didn't resonate with the questions that were being asked because they were not in that particular situation. We also felt like if we got authoritative voices in the UX community, we could increase participation and trust, and that's why we're here today. We're really grateful. So back to what we think was our major point of why the survey flopped was because people didn't see the link. So if we post regularly about the survey to keep it open to collect, feedback and increase participation. So that's why if you're in the group, I don't know if everyone is in that group here, but you realize that Wanjagi would post progress about how many people have, they have filled the survey and our final target, which was basically 100 responses. So keeping you on tabs and posting regularly, not really regularly, but those small milestones, when they were met, we got to post the survey again, and we finally got to have positive responses. So having the hypothesis ready, so we had to ask ourselves questions so that we can kind of make this possible. So how long should we run this survey? And we decided, okay, until the minimum threshold of entries were met, which was 100. And how many people responding to the survey would make it, credible. We say a third of the, people in the group filling in the survey would make it credible, and so on and so on. So these questions really helped us to really refine down how the survey or how the direction of the survey is going to be. So we came up with a work plan. So the first thing we did was refine survey questions. Then we prepared a shareable summary. So the summary basically had the importance of the survey and why participating on the survey would really be helpful. And then the other step was involve credible voices in the group. And then we share the summary until we reach, we share the survey until we reach the minimum threshold. And then finally, we get to collect the results. So that was our work plan. So yeah, so I think Wanjagi can take us through, the tools we used and just the results. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gloria. So give me a sec. I just share my screen. But just as Gloria has talked about it, so this survey was primarily ran on a WhatsApp group. I see some of you are asking on the comments, which WhatsApp group is this? It's called UI UX Kenya Community. I don't know if there is anyone who's on that link who can share, who's on that group who can share the link to join, because I think it's open for anyone to join. But that's where primarily this survey was ran. And so I'm hoping you can see my screen so that I continue. Please give me a heads up.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So we're talking about tools. So it's when it came now time to build the survey. So initially, as Gloria had mentioned, she had done the first one on Google Form. But when we did our research, we realized, especially because we wanted to include many more groups, there was a lot of conditional formatting we needed to do on the form. If you choose this option, then you are shown this set of questions. But if you choose this other option, you're shown a totally different set of questions. And Google Form can't do that. So found a nice tool called Tally, which is what we use to build the form. Then for our notes, which are some of the screenshots that you've seen, the one that had questions, the work plan, we did all that on Notion. And then, of course, our audience was in that WhatsApp group. It was very specific. And it was the primary way that Gloria and myself also communicated, talked primarily through chat, did all this planning via WhatsApp. And then when it came time for data visualization, we already have the data. So how do we present this data? We used Coda, which easily integrates to Tally, and I think even Notion, but we integrated it to Tally, and we were able to get some nice charts, which you'll be able to see. And finally, who is a UI UX designer if you don't use Figma? If you don't use Figma, I think you're in the wrong crowd. But yes, we use Figma for everything, posters, even this presentation is on Figma. Yeah, so those were the tools that we use. That's the full stack. And so Gloria was talking about the posters, so it was really important for us to be top of mind to the people on the group, keep telling them that we have this survey running. There's like 5 memes before this message. So every morning, we actually researched and looked at the time when's the best time to post in our WhatsApp group to get to get feedback, and it was usually morning hours. So if you'll notice it, we did it between 7 and like 10 a.m. early in the morning. We all know, when you wake up, most of us, I'm guilty of this, first thing you do is check the phone, check your messages. So that's what we were hoping to do. So shared these posters there. The poster actually changed a bit because when we started, we didn't have this tag here that tells you how many submissions we've received. Our goal was to get to 100. So it was important to show people the progress, just to sort of incentivize and motivate them to continue submitting if they haven't. And before we didn't have this, and I got a lot of questions. So which number are we in? Because it's not really clear on the poster. So this actually really helped to to clarify that. So there was a lot of iteration even as we continued with this process. So I know big question we are all wondering right now is, did we succeed? And I think we did. So these are just the numbers. So when we're thinking about it, we thought a third would be a good number, a third of 700, which was coming to 200 and something. But I think with our discussions with Gloria, we were a bit pessimistic. We were like, hey, Bana, we only got 11 before. Are we aiming too high? So we settled with 100 just for this time, and that's the increase, 850% increase, from 11 to 105. And I think we could have gotten more, honestly. But if you look in the grand scheme of things, right now the group has maybe 800 or 900 people. So it's still a really tiny fraction of the members of that group. So yeah, so it's like 15% of the people there. So thank you, every 105 of you who actually feel that. We would not be here if it was not for you guys. So yeah, without much further ado, allow me to share the survey results. And to do that, as I mentioned, the tool that we used is
request, Wanjagi, I'd like to stop you for just one moment, not
Okay.
to bury the lead, but I'd like us to do a small poll, sort of like build anticipation. I'd like us to do a small poll and ask, before you get biased by what other people earn, I'd like to ask how much for our sake, how much do you earn as a UX designer? So I'll leave that for like 1 minute for you to reply. And then we'll hear what the rest are earning. So let's share. I'll also share these results with Wanjagi. Hopefully I've not done it probably in the same with the same depth, but maybe this will add to your numbers from people who maybe probably didn't contribute.
Yeah. So maybe a question, Anthony, is this anonymous? Will my name be plastered?
I'll not be sharing this with anyone, but I believe it is anonymous. I will confirm. But again, there's no goal for salaries are very private things, and so we respect that. We respect that greatly. Okay. But actually, when it's been shared to us as results, then no one will be able to see what anyone said. It's basically just going to show the results.
Okay.
Yep.
I was asking that for a friend.
Classic. Okay. I'd like to end the poll in about in a few seconds. So in case you've not added your reply, now is your chance. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. So poll is ended, and here are the results. That 72% earned less than 150,000. 3% and 9% and 150 to 250, and also 250 to 300, and then 9% and more than 400 a month. Okay. You can proceed. Thank you. Hope the results are fascinating, and thank you for everyone for participating.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, so it's I guess we'll see how that matches with the results that we have. So I'll switch gears here. Actually, I should have done this because I wanted to share now on Coda, and that's on my browser. So kindly bear with me as I move there. I think Anthony, your poll was yeah, I was really keen on seeing that. So yeah, hope you can see my screen. Okay. Perfect. So as you can see, some of the things that some of the questions that we asked, one of the was first we wanted to set the stage, like the questions that everyone can answer, sorry. So years of experience, gender. So that's the first part of of the results. And then we'll be able to dive into 3 different groups. So one, we'll be able to see people who are part-time employed employees. And then secondly, we'll be able to see people who are freelancing. And lastly, job seekers. That's the last category that we'll look at. And then we can be able to compare with some of the assumptions that Gloria shared earlier, what the assumptions were even from the group, that most of the people on the group maybe don't do design and things like that. Things that we can now confirm now that we have the data. So this was a question, how many years of experience do you have? And as you can see on the group, and I think I'll keep saying this because I think the subset is really tiny. I'm not too confident saying that this is how much UI or UX designers in Kenya earn, but I think it does give us a picture because even though it's still a tiny subset. So from the group, as you can see, majority is between 1 and 3 years. So really young, have just joined the field, if I may say so. And then it thins as you go up, so 10 to 12 years. And I think we also had more than 15 years. So it was quite interesting that none on the group were able to feel the 15 plus years in experience. So really young. Not many of us in the group have had a lot of experience in this field. And gender-wise, so majority are male, which is not surprising if you ask me. Yeah, it's not surprising. But I think what was surprising for me is actually the ladies are not too far behind. I think I've been in many companies where all I see is male designers. So this was actually refreshing. My assumption was that this would be very skewed to, the gents, but it wasn't. So seniority level. So this, this sometimes is a hit or miss because different companies will term roles differently. So the question is, which best describes your current level of seniority? So because sometimes the number of years that you've been in the industry might not really translate to your role at work, but nevertheless, majority were answered and said they were in the intermediate level. We had one student, and the next biggest group was the ones in the junior level. So not many are leading departments, so only 3. But it's encouraging that, designers can actually aspire to be in such positions of leadership. So the good thing about this tool, Coda, is that it allows you to layer 2 different data points. And as you can see here, we can look at the level of seniority and experience, what I was talking about. And as you can see, the guys who are department leads, like it's a whole range of years. So there's this guy, I don't know if it's a guy, maybe it's a lady, but yeah, 4 to 6 years, and they're already leading a department, which is encouraging. And the oldest was 10 to 12 years. And if you look at the intermediate level, I think that's where we had a mixed bag of, experience. So all the way between a year, all the way to 10 to 12 years. So yeah. So very mixed set of results there. And then another question we asked was your primary field of work. Which best describe your primary field of work? And this was a question also in the group, people saying, some people here are not UI UX designers. Some of us have moved to a different stack. But from the results, majority who answered the poll are actually product and UI UX designers. So 64 out of 105. And coming in second was designers in the marketing, graphic, or web side of things. And then, of course, which is not surprising, some in product management, some in research. I don't know if I can get this right now, but there are some who are in other fields. Yeah, but this just gives us a picture of, we've debunked that majority of the people in that group are actually UI UX designers. Then what's your current employment situation? So this is the question that helped us, funnel our different users into different flows. So we wanted to find out their current employment situation. So majority, as you can see, are full-time employees. So some people who are employed full-time to do the work that they do. And then we had a few who are part-time employees and also self-employed. And also some who had just been recently laid off. So six people, and then those so the job seekers are the unemployed. You've never been employed, but you're looking for a role in the UI UX field, and also that one student who's also, we put them in the job seeker group. So now we'll go through the different categories. So the funneling that I was talking about. So we look at the employees, and this is going to be mainly the full-time employee and the part-time employee. So just those two, and also the one who recently became unemployed, because in our form we asked them, if you were recently unemployed, just answer the next set of questions in light of your recent job. So what is your current monthly gross salary in Kenya shillings? So as you can see, the different categories that we had was, up to 49K, then 50 to 100, then 100 to 150, 150 to 200. And then now we started going in bursts of 100K. So the 200s, 300s, 400s, between 500 and 700, and then 700 and a million, and then a million and above. So that's how it broke down. I wanted to say that because the numbers here, you can't really see them. So that gives you a picture of, where where the results are weighted at. And you can see it's mostly in the lower side, which is a bit discouraging if I'm honest, because I feel it's true that the value of design is not recognized in many companies, and hence I feel that's the reason why it's easy for them to lowball. But if there are people who are earning this much, doing largely, the same work that you're doing, but maybe they have more experience, maybe it's something that you can aspire to, that's somewhere that you can get to. But also it's something that you can negotiate at work, because the disparity is really huge. From earning less than 50K to all the way to between 700 and a million. We also had one which is a million and above, and no one filled that. So yeah, that's the long and short of the salary, which I think is what most people came here to see. So please don't drop off. I think there's there's some more. There are some things that you can see. So, like, for example, so the comparing two data points. So does your role determine your salary? And as you can see, it's also there's an a predictable sort of flow of this, because you can see most of the junior roles are in the lower categories, but there is this outlier. Whoever you are, congratulations. You must be amazing. And then, so it's very predictable, intermediate level. And as you go up, they keep going up to the higher categories. Then salary and gender. I know this was a conversation actually in the group recently when there was someone who had posted a job that was only supposed to be only for ladies to apply, and it created a whole flurry of questions in the group. But as you can see, with the men, having been in this industry maybe for longer, or many of them, most of them are on the higher, as you can see, all men at the very top, and then our ladies are the ones who are at the very bottom, most of them, which is discouraging as well, because it's not that they are, maybe is there a perception here that we're talking about that, we think that men are the only ones who are really good at this job. Yeah, I mean, you can ask many questions with these results. Then salary and experience. So my assumption was, especially at the very top, I assumed that, it would be, I was thinking maybe 10 years and above, but, it shows that in this field, you can really climb up the rank without, as long as you're really good at what you do, and you can create a name for yourself and really rise up the ranks. And it doesn't matter how much experience you have. It's how good are you at your job. That's my assumption. And yeah. So at the very bottom, as you can see, which is expected, most of those who have little experience would be at the bottom. And I think that goes without saying, but this for me was definitely surprising. Yeah, then there was a question about benefits. So what benefits do you receive as part of your compensation? And benefits is an interesting thing because some people do not count it as compensation, but I think it does go a long way. And primarily, I think in this market, medical and health insurance is like a standard. Most people chose that, and that's the highest. So the rest, we'll get to see what these others were, but primarily it was medical health and then a mixed bag of everything. So you'll find, like, for example, this is medical, salary bonus, and employee pension. This is just medical insurance and salary bonus. So yeah, I'll provide this link so that whoever needs to dig deeper into this data, they can do so. So what other benefits do you receive? There's this quote I had, that designers are always paid with food. And surprisingly, the data shows that, sadly, that is true. You give us lunch and breakfast and we'll forget that you're paying us peanuts, which for some reason peanuts is also food. Anyway, yeah, so lunch was like the biggest thing. As you can see, lunch, breakfast, dinner, that's all food. There's some who get airtime, there's some who get parking. Yeah. So on the question, did you negotiate? So majority actually did say yes, they negotiated. Wait, majority said no. sorry, yeah, majority say they didn't negotiate, but the difference is minimal, so 45 to 43. I feel negotiation is a key part, especially when you're getting into a role. It's important that you negotiate for your salary whenever you're starting a new role. Then what best describes the level of company you work for? So here we just wanted to understand, for those who are employed, are they in a startup, which we described as a company that has been running for 0 to 5 years, or an expansion stage, a company that has been there for 5 to 10 years, or mature 10 plus years? And as you can see, most are startups, but the difference is quite minimal. Then company level and experience. So overlaying those two data points. So they're largely similar, as you can see. Startups, expansions, and mature companies, they all hire from all types of experience. So they need people with all levels of experience. So if you're applying for a job or you're looking for jobs, don't limit yourself and say this type of company does not look for someone with my experience. They're hiring from every pool. So company level and salary, how are these companies paying? So similarly as well, I think because they're hiring from the whole pool, then the salary ranges accordingly. Yeah, which then means that there's maybe you might be in a company where there's that huge disparity actually exists, where there's one designer who's earning way more than the one who has little to no experience. So which is something that pay equity for people who are in similar roles should be a thing that that should be considered. This question was, how satisfied are you with your total compensation package? So we've looked at benefits and your salary, and most actually fell within the, I'm neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, because this was a Likert scale with seven options. So right at the middle, and also a spike at the very end of people who are dissatisfied with their earnings. And when you think about it, it's quite interesting. So if we overlay this with the actual compensation, how much are you earning? So you see there's this person who's earning on the lower rank, but they answered 5, which is towards the higher side, that I'm neither not dissatisfied nor satisfied, but I'm okay, which is something I did not expect, honestly. I thought, most of the reds, which is the low, would be in the lower side, but it's still a mixed bag. But of course, the reds, I put the warm colors on the lower side and the cool colors on the just how the rainbow goes, royal beef. That's how I remember it. So the lower ones are the warm colors, if you'd like to, yeah, just to help you perceive the numbers there. Hey, I have been talking for a while. I don't know if I pause there for questions, or do I just go through and finish?
We could pause for a moment. There's a bit of chats going on now. One of the things that I had noted, and maybe you don't know whether you've broken this down at all, or maybe it's worth exploring, to what degree people who what's the breakdown of the people who did not negotiate by gender? Because I think part of it's possible that they may, the more breakdown around the people who did not negotiate, and like how much they earn if they did not negotiate, are they on the lower ranks and so on. I think it would be useful to know, because I think negotiating is part of one of the things that will get you a bump, probably maybe sometimes a significant one. And it's possible that the people who do not negotiate, it's possible that they may be leaving quite a bit on the table. That maybe there was 100,000 extra on the table that they did not get because they did not ask. I don't know whether you have anything to say around that, but
yeah, it's something that we can do. What I'll say is I haven't checked into that, but I've added it here, and I'll just add it onto this list, and then after this, you can go to the results and see. But it would be an interesting data point to look at. I agree.
Yeah, someone else here says that it would be amazing to see the companies that to know or know which companies these people work for, whether it's local or international companies, because that may also be playing a part in it. I'll add another comment here that creative and marketing agencies are notorious for posting your UX designer job opportunities when they're actually looking for a wizard who can design, code, and fly a plane. And so like that may be part of what is causing it. Don't know whether you have any comments around those items or anything else you've seen in the chat.
Yeah, so local or international, I think, so when we did this study, when we shared the link, I put a bit.ly link, shortened it. And what that allows you to do is to be able to see where the people who are accessing this link are coming from. And majority of the people were accessing that link from Kenya. So with some level of confidence, I can say majority of the people who actually feel this were actually Kenyans living here, working here. There were some outliers, someone in Australia or UK, but there weren't many. And part of it could be they could be using what's that called? That thing that helps you access websites. That one. Yeah.
VPN.
Yes, VPN. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Someone but there are a few people noting here. I think it's almost like an outcry because like there are 5 or 6 messages of people saying that yes, they're Kenyans, but they're working remotely for international companies, which is a possibility. Yeah.
It is. So what we did not want to do, because our survey we wanted our survey to be anonymous, so we didn't want any. We had thought of adding what's your company, but we didn't want any identifiers that could be tied back to the people who have actually filled this survey, just to increase the trust and anonymity of the survey, because it was a concern for the initial one.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth noting that the international jobs, they may not be as available now, but I'd encourage us, especially if you have a few years of experience, to look at international job boards, because like I personally got a job in an international company when working in Kenya. And so like it's possible, especially if you have a bit of experience and skill. So especially if you're dissatisfied with how much you earn, it's something you could try. It's not as active as it was before, but it's still an opportunity that you might explore, because other people are doing it who might even be in this this meeting as well. So, okay, I think we can proceed unless you want to cover any other question that you may have seen.
Yeah, just a question. If there's anything Gloria might want to mention regarding some of the questions that we've received before we proceed.
Not really, because I think you've cleared up some of the questions based on the discussions we've had. For example, the one about adding companies as part of the survey. We actually discussed that, and this could tie back to someone, and that's like part of the problem of the previous survey. So I think you've covered ground pretty well.
Okay. So if you'll allow me, then I'll proceed. So the last 2 sections are not as lengthy as the first one. So we look at freelance, and then finally for the job seekers. So the freelance income. So same range as what we had asked those who are employed, and the disparity is also as huge. So we have one submission here between 700 and 1 million, and then we have majority still on the lower side. So which is quite similar with what we had with the those who are employed. It's just that there's a huge jump between, you know, whoever this is. I mean, you need to share your secrets, because the jump is just huge from 200K to 700K, to that range. We will actually look at some of the things that I think he gets most of his. I keep saying he, ladies, you'll forgive me. It's just a term, but it can be a her as well. I think what I noticed is that he gets most from referrals. I think that was the key thing. So freelance gigs, where do their gigs come from? So mostly referrals. Let me see. This is yeah, it's right here. Referrals and other. He's the only one who filled referrals and other. So maybe it's in the other, because some actually do have referrals. And the other is, networks and agencies. So if you're freelancing and you're thinking of ways in which you can climb or you can increase your income, maybe this is something that you need to consider. How do I advertise myself or place myself in a place where agencies can notice me, or is there a network that I can join? I assume that's what he meant with this two options here. Yeah. So mostly it's referrals, as I had mentioned, some from freelance websites, but yeah, mostly referrals, which was expected. And then overlaying the two, their income and where their gigs come from. So as you can see, this person is the standalone with referrals and other, but it's also sort of like a mixed bag as well. Yeah. Then finally, job seekers. So for this group of people, what we wanted to find out is, what are their expectations as they are, joining this market, how much do they believe they are worth? How much do they think they can earn? And as you can see, the expectation is on the lower ranks. And maybe this explains why, most of those with little to some experience are on the lower ranks on earnings. But yeah, it was just the two ranks between less than 100,000. That was the expectation for everyone who filled this in. So that would be the student and also those who are unemployed and looking for a job and they have never been employed. And then for the question whether they expect any additional benefits with this compensation. So 30% of them said no, and then 60%, 66% of them said yes, they expect some form of compensation. Yeah, and that's actually where our data ends. I'll pause there also for some questions before we finish with the last few slides that I have.
Hey, we have a bit of activity in the chats, but mostly discussion more than questions. But I guess one of the things that was asked was it net or gross? And Gloria answered it was gross, gross salaries. And then someone asking about learning about where you can find these international opportunities if you're interested. I honestly would say your best friend would be doing research on Google and just start typing for remote jobs. And starting from there, because there are so many ways that people find success. And reaching out, there are a lot of companies who are also becoming more and more interested in, like they're based in the West, but they're interested in hiring people who are all over the world, as long as you can be able to show that you work well remotely. Yeah, that's right about it. Unless there's another question from the audience, people who'd like to ask questions, please post it in the chat. If you have one, I think we can proceed, but please, if you have questions, post them in the chat and then we'll address them at the end, tail end of this. You are muted.
Sorry, I want to go back to Figma. Hope you can see my presentation. So yeah, so those are the results. And, you know, a bit discouraging, but still, I think there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot of room for improvement. You know, you can use this data to your advantage, especially if you're looking for a job, or if you want to get a raise at your workplace. And so, last thing I want to look at is other countries. You know, how do we compare? And by we here, I mean that small subset of that WhatsApp group called UI UX Kenya community.
Just a minute. I don't know whether you're already sharing the other screen, but we still can see the coda.
Give me a second. Let me figure this out.
Yes.
Are we?
Yes, we're good now. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, what about other countries? How do we stack against, you know, that as that small subset, small subset of that WhatsApp group? And so there was this link that was shared. Sorry, I think I should have blurred his number. So let me just go quickly back. But there was that post that was shared with a member in the group. Apologies for blasting your number. It was I totally missed that. And so it was a post that he shared regarding how much does a UX designer make, and it was, you know, showing the different regions and like a sort of range of how much UX designers earn. And I'll keep it to UX designers because, as we have seen from the group, majority of them are actually either product or UX designers. So if you're a graphic designer or product manager, you'll have to bear with me just to use this for this experiment. So surprisingly, there was no data. Whoever shared this didn't have any data about Sub-Saharan Africa, as they call us. So it's just North Africa. And if you're to look at how we stack against them, so I did an average. So 70 and 100K, the median katikati, it's 85K. And this is annually. So this is what they earn annually. So those are the numbers. Then if we're to do that, a monthly, what do they earn monthly? Because, in our market, how we understand these figures is by, how much are you earning per month? We actually don't do the annual. If you get a job where it has an annual salary, you always have to do the math and try and figure out how much does it pay per month and what does that mean? Well, that's what I do. So if we are to do that, with the current rates right now, that's how much the people in those different countries are earning per month as UX designers. So as you can see, pretty high. The lowest Middle East and North Africa. And so question is, how do we compare? And so we already ran a poll earlier. So I don't think we'll run a poll right now. I think we can just proceed because I think, especially because we've already seen the data. So what's the average that, the guys who are in that small subset of that group called UI UX Kenya community, what's our average, all those figures that we received, and how do we stack against all these other, designers in these other countries? And that is it. So that's where we are at. So as you can see, a huge disparity. And honestly, I don't think it's because we are not as good as the people in those countries, because there are many people who are employed from this country in those regions, in those companies. So there's definitely a long way for us to go in improving general salaries for people in this field. I think this also should also give you some boldness in, knowing what you are worth, what you're asking for. Don't undervalue the value that you're bringing to a company, because it's definitely reflected in this. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. Let me just do the vote of thanks, then we can open for Q&A if we have any other questions. So this whole process, as Gloria started, it was a long process, and we could not have done it without the 105 individuals who filled the survey in that small community called UI UX Kenya. It's a WhatsApp group. If anyone can share the link on the chat of the group, please do so. Yeah, so thank you, every individual there. We had some volunteers. So at some point, when we created the form, we wanted to test it out before posting it. And we got some volunteers to help us, give us feedback about the questions, are they making sense? And those are their names there. Thank you for giving us, timely feedback. We are grateful. I think I put an extra N on Anne, but Asante. And of course, I'd like to thank this community, Anthony, Michael, and your crew for even allowing us to have this platform to be able to share these results, because we were asking ourselves, what's the best place to actually share this? And, when we were talking with Gloria and this came up, we said, let's just ask and see if they'll be open to it. And thank you for doing that. So Gloria and myself, we are the ones who spent a lot of time on this. It took much longer than we expected, honestly. First getting to the 100 submissions, and then even trying to figure out how best to present this. I think we had really thought about collecting the data, but we hadn't factored how much work goes into presenting it. But we got it to the finish line. So yeah, Gloria, thank you. Yes. So the survey results are available there. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe someone can help me type this in the chat. But yes, that's it. Gloria, maybe you can do that. You can just post that in the chat. The results are there for anyone to view, and yeah. Thank you. I think that's
Thank you so much, Wanjage and Gloria. This is awesome work. I'd like us to appreciate, because this is really an amazing work. And I'd like us to appreciate them. So I've opened up the opportunity for everyone to remove themselves from video, be able to show their video. I'd like us to give them a hand of appreciation, because this is really awesome work. Really, really awesome work. If you can stop sharing so you can see all the faces appreciating, and at the very least, thank you for doing this, because I think it's going to really help a lot of people. It's going to help a lot of people see what they are worth and what the opportunities are for them. So kudos, it is very well presented, and I think I personally think this is something that's going to help people negotiate. There's someone who asked, like, what's required? What are tips for negotiating? And the first is information. When you have information, you have the power to negotiate. The part of it is knowing your worth, but the other side of it is knowing what other people are paying. There's someone who mentioned that there are other economic factors that are adding to the fact that people can't, that the salaries are different in different parts of the world. That's for sure, but it surely does not explain that huge difference. Maybe halfway, at least if everyone was earning somewhere around like 300, maybe then we'd say, yeah, the rest is economic factors. But I think there's a lot of room. So thank you for giving us this information, and I hope everyone who is able to watch this even later on YouTube and any other place, they're going to benefit from this and have an opportunity to negotiate. So asante sana. Now we have a few minutes to go, and I can end early if there are no questions, but I'd also like to give an opportunity for anyone who wants to ask a question. Now that that the presentation is done, please raise your hand to just indicate that you'd like to ask a question, and then we can take you off mute and you can ask it to the presenters today. Okay, silence means no. Then we'll proceed from there. There's someone who is asking for the link to the results. I'll request that we post it in the chat here, and we're also going to add the link to the YouTube video description, just in case anyone who is watching later wants to go and view those. I'd like us to end. Before we end, we would like to talk about jobs. This sort of is coming full circle. Jobs that are available for us as UX designers to apply to. And so I encourage you, if especially you applied, you say that you're dissatisfied with how much you earn, this probably would be a good opportunity for you to apply and negotiate now that you're armed with information. So Dentsu is hiring a creative designer. They're also hiring an art director. Honeycoin is hiring a product designer. Antara Health is hiring a product manager. Equity Bank is hiring a group lead UX. Watu Credit is hiring senior graphics designer. Rainforest Alliance is hiring a lead UX. Addystone Group is hiring a senior UX designer. And if you're interested in competing in Young Creatives, Young Creative Showdown, then you can apply there. And you're going to the links to all of the jobs that I've talked about are in the have been sent to the chat here. Yeah, so go forth and apply. Now, with that, I'd like to thank every one of us for being part of this meetup. We hope to present you more and more value as we go, and we are grateful that you gave us an opportunity to be part of your day. As we end our time together, I'd like to share with us our ways that you can stay connected with us. So you can connect with us on the LinkedIn UI UX Nairobi meetup, UI UX Nairobi community on LinkedIn. We also UI UX Nairobi on Twitter, and there is a YouTube channel, UI UX Nairobi. And you can reach out to us if you'd like to ask something, give feedback, anything else. You can reach out to UIUXNairobi@gmail.com. We are grateful that we got an opportunity for you to be part of your day. And thank you for giving us the time. And until next time, I hope that you have an amazing month. All right. With that, it's time for us to go. And thank you for coming. Bye-bye.